All right, Tracy, I just sent you the YouTube link.
Okay, waiting for it to come through. Okay, let me go verify that it's working. Okay, you're good to go.
Ready to call to order?
Yes, it's posted.
Okay. The meeting of the Clinical Laboratory Personnel Committee is called to order where they have a quorum. The time is 3:09 p.m. on 5/14/25. First, we'll do introductions and check volumes to be sure we can hear everybody. Gay Brunson, I'm the chairman, and I represent administration for the Louisiana Hospital Association. And I'll just call names, we'll go around. Larry?
Larry Broussard, representing specialist category.
Okay. M. Genders?
Yeah, here.
She's the administrative assistant with our office, Miss Gay.
Okay. Tracy?
IT tech support with LSBMA.
Belinda?
I am Belinda Carmen. I represent the Generalist MedTechs.
Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle Edmondson. I represent administrative.
Alexa?
Alexa Little with CLIA program. I'm not a voting position.
Melissa?
Hi, Melissa Hamilton. I represent cytology.
Patricia?
Patricia Wilton, I'm one of the attorneys for the board.
Nadlin?
Nadlin Rito, I represent education.
Lauren?
Lauren Sudeth, I'm an attorney with the board.
Jessica?
Jessica Lassiter, I'm an MLS educator.
P. Johnson?
Ms. Johnson, I am Allied Health Clinical Lab Supervisor at the board.
All righty. So comments can be made at, it is not on my paper this time. Public comments will be made to the board at the link that's on the Zoom on the website. The first item of business are two sets of minutes that we need to review and approve. The first set is from November 12th of 24. We didn't have them at our last meeting to look at. If everyone has looked over them, are there any changes or discussion?
I move that they be accepted as written.
All right,
I second.
Michelle made a motion, Belinda second. All those in favor of accepting the minutes from November 12th, 2024, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. The second set of minutes is from February 12th, 2025. I'll look over those.
While they're looking, Miss Gay, the link is public comment at lsbme.la.gov.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Started to quote that from memory, but I was afraid it would not be accurate.
Right.
Yay, on the minutes, my name is misspelled in 2 sections. They left off the X. It's in the, let me pull it up again.
I say,
It can be approved with correction.
okay. Do we have a motion to approve with correcting Natalie's name? Did you,
Okay.
make excuse me?
I was gonna say, I'll move that they be accepted with correcting Nadeline's name and then as written.
Okay, second,
I second. I
Belinda.
second. Mhm.
All right, all those accepting the minutes with the recommended change, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next item of business on the minutes is the rules for public meeting. There's a document on the cloud share. It's the same one that I emailed to our group about us as a public meeting group. We must meet the rules for public meeting, and anytime there are more than 6 of us, it's a quorum and the public rule meetings go into effect. And that includes emails, even if we're not in person or on Zoom. We are not to have discussions in that way without being a public meeting with the agenda and posted and all that. Miss Wilton, do you want to add anything?
Sure, that's exactly right. And also you want to avoid what we call a rolling quorum, which is to say you email Natalie, then she emails Jessica, and it accomplishes the same thing just in a serial fashion rather than all in a group. If you're gonna discuss, debate, determine anything about public business, it ought to be done, unless there's an exception for executive session, it ought to be done within the view of the public. So it's natural if you run into each other in the hallway or something, if you have a casual comment. But if you're really making policy decisions and discussing the pluses or minuses of taking any certain action, we ought to save that for an actual meeting.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? I think that one caught us off guard because it asked the question, and by our nature, we are doers. And if you ask us something, we will answer you. But anyway, as long as we don't have any more questions on that, we can move on to the next one. It's number 3, update on legislation. The only current legislation I'm familiar with, I don't have the number written down. I think it was 603. It was the one that was changing the wording where the governor, when he receives a list of potential appointments, basically changes the wording from he shall choose from that list to he may choose from that list. Have y'all read anything about that?
So there are a couple of bills floating around that have the potential to affect the board or the committee. It's very much in flux at this time. Beyond that, we haven't seen anything that would be of major concern to the group. Um, it's it's a possibility that some of the things that we hoped for may not actually make it to the floor and the governor's desk this session, but I'll leave that discussion for Dr. Van the next time he's with you all. I don't want to speak out of turn or talk about things that haven't taken place or will take place or may not take place, but it's a very interesting session this year, and a lot of focus is on composition of executive boards or boards that are in the executive branch, and it's not just us, it's across the table for many different boards. So all we can do at this point is just monitor and stay tuned.
What is the update on that bill, they were pushing for non-licensure of plasma center workers that are doing lab work.
It's still in process. It hasn't made it out of the House yet, so we're still watching that.
Okay. All righty. Guess
There
that
was a
takes
request made to LSCLS to be on the Hill today because of that plasma bill. So I don't know what the move was today, but there was a request to LSCLS to be there.
Did somebody go?
Yes.
All righty. If there's not any more update on legislation, we'll move on. We had a meeting yesterday with the higher ups of the ASCP BOC, and Madeline and Jessica, if y'all would kind of inform the board of, excuse me, the committee of what went on there, I would appreciate it.
Madeline, do you want to go first? Can y'all hear me?
Oh,
Yes.
yes, you can go first. I'm sorry, I was still muted.
Oh, you can't. Okay, so we had a demonstration of the processes of the BOC. One thing that I did learn that I did not know is I didn't know they had sped up the process of the application verification. So once the student applies for the BOC, whether it be the MLT or MLS exam, that process was taking a week or so to come to the program director. And then once the program director verified it, it took more days. I think they said it could have taken up to 2 weeks. That process has been sped up. It's around 48 hours now. So the
48
student,
hours, yes.
yeah, good. Help me, Ms. Madeline. So they use their own terminology. I wrote it down at work, but it was like verification validation or application validation. It's like auto verification that we use in the lab, but it was for only the application. During that meeting, I think both of us expressed that our Louisiana graduates are not getting exam dates as they wish. For instance, I have students, and I think Madeline has students taking the exam we could have started this week. And none of mine were able to get an exam date within the month in the state of Louisiana. Even though we followed the exact instructions ASCP tells us, they don't let you register for the exam until 42 days before their last program, assignment. But we can't get dates. So we did express that frustration, and they said they're going to check into that.
With Pearson testing sites. So
yes. Like I had 2 students drive to Little Rock yesterday, and I have 5 more driving to Little Rock today to take a test. So they can take it as soon as possible, because we do have research that shows the longer you wait, the knowledge flows. And we all know that feeling. We wanted to take our test pretty quick. Now the second part of the process, I do not agree with them on, and I want more information. I think both me and Miss Madeline spoke up, and they gave time frames of what they did they pulled data from only Louisiana, and the first set of data was from June to September, which is I would think a very low peak month for most of our graduates. I think it'd catch some, but not many. And they said the turnaround time was 13 days from when they receive the student's transcript to when they evaluate this transcript. And I specifically asked, is 13 days business days, or is it, what? And they said it's calendar days. And I spoke up and said, that's not what we're seeing. And I also asked about May data, and they had May data, and actually the May data went down to 9 days. So it was less time frame. So what they said, and I was very pleased by this, they said that we would do a pilot program. So what I understand is they're going to look at this, I guess, our students in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to meet again in a month and evaluate it. So I'm kind of anxious to see, and we're going to see what comes out of it. And I know what our students, how long it's taken, and it's taken almost 4 weeks for them to evaluate transcripts. And Miss Madeline, will you comment on that? Is that what you're experiencing too?
Yes, that's what I'm experiencing. So again, from their data, they're saying from the time they receive the transcript and evaluated, it can take about 13 days. And once it's evaluated, it takes 2 days to be sent to LSBME. And so Jessica and I said that's not what we're finding, the 2-week time period. It's more like 4 weeks. So,
yes.
But again, so they think things are working, but as with anything else, until someone speaks up about something, they was not aware. So it's actually taken twice as long than they, think their process is. And so, yes, it did seem like they would want to audit. I'm not sure if they decided on which program, I guess, who would have the least number of students to monitor that and see what is the turnaround time, so we can determine, where this lag time is in the process. So they were receptive about it and were appreciative. So I think we can get something accomplished.
And it was brought up during the meeting that somebody or some powers were trying to eliminate the temporary license for our profession, and that's going to be a problem. Yes.
So what I take from the meeting as our committee is we cannot eliminate the temporary license right now until we get all these issues resolved. Or your students, unless they can drive far away, or could wait 30 days to take a test after they graduate, and then they can wait, according to them, 13 days, or what we say 4 weeks. So you're 2 months out of able to work of a graduate if we take away the temporary license right now.
Great. We really, we need to be sure that the board hears that from our committee, that we are still begging to do not take our temporary license until this is resolved. Do we know where those results go when the BOC sends a student's result to LSBME? Who does it go to?
We send it to an email address, I believe, or I don't know. Can someone at LSBME speak of that? I have it on my paper at work. I think we send it. We ask them to send to an email address.
Phyllis, does that go to licensing?
I believe so. Yes, ma'am. I think it's licensing@lsbme.org. And the students have to pay for that too. That's not free. That's another step they're having to do. And that's one thing ASCP said, maybe we're using the wrong verbiage in the email and they don't quite understand. And it is kind of confusing. Like they pass and they're like, what's our next thing? Well, it's several steps before those scores are actually sent to LSBME. Now, Dr. Van did ask a question about, like, I think what I understood was like an auto release of results to the state licensing board. And they kind of mentioned that they might be checking into that. And that would certainly speed up things. But I don't firmly believe every student is not following instructions and not doing their emails. Now, there are several that are not following instructions and not doing what we tell them to do, but we are seeing exponentially long times to get licenses, and it's either certification we're waiting on, or it's our temp licenses that we're waiting on. And I'm very curious to see, because several of my students should be getting temp licenses this week and paid the extra money, and it should be released very soon. So, and that's
Natalie, you'd made the comment that you saw a greater delay in your students' licensing just a few years ago.
Yes, so I've been program director since 2017, and usually there was a short turnaround time. Students graduated, mid-May, and by the end of May, they would have their temporary license. And the summer of 2022, this is when I began to see like a 4-week delay. So I've been noticing it for the past 3 years, and I only have graduates in May, so,
Did y'all get some sort of new software or virus protection or something at the board that year? That might be slowing it down?
2022,
Yes,
the pandemic year,
2020 would be the pandemic.
the 2020, okay, the fall of 2022, I think that's when it ended. We went into a new software package in 2019, and we kind of had a chaotic start off. But 2022, no, we did not have a new, we had kind of adjusted to it by then.
So nothing would have happened,
on our end.
email wise or anything?
I know we kind of had an influx, looked like applications. We kind of got an influx of applications, which Patsy we were discussing that last year. Looked like the volume coming in is kind of outrunning us. But I don't know of anything in particular in 2022.
All right. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say the annual report that Dr. Van, or that was sent out to the board, only showed less than 250 new licensees for our area last year. Only 250 total new licenses.
Okay. A clinical lab?
That's what his report shows on page 6.
Licenses that were issued or applicants? Or applicants?
Newly licensed CLS generalists and technicians and specialists and cytotechs. I didn't count assistants because they don't have they're not dealing with the
certification.
BOC.
Okay. Okay.
So do we have is it because we don't have enough personnel processing their licenses there? Because I'll be honest, there is one analyst there that will answer an email and answer students' questions very promptly. And then there's another one that it is very hard to get them to answer. So.
Okay, well, why don't we take that discussion directly to Dr. Van and Miss James, who's the director of licensing, and see if there's a block there that we need to unplug of some sort. I feel as though Dr. Van is very happy with the turnover and the time from in the door to out the door for a clean application, fully paid, all documents submitted, etc. So I'm sure he will be happy to revisit that and update those statistics for you in the future. And then if you can just have a conversation with Dr. Van or myself or Phyllis or whomever about your difficulty with phone contacts, then they can address that at the agency level.
Now, just remember, the reason why we're really bringing this up is because we were told temporary licenses were going to be taken away. So.
Right. The board's general desire and intent is to have no temporary licenses to the fullest extent possible, because it becomes problematic as time goes by. And so we're trying to unify that across all of our licensed classes. However, if we identify an absolute structural obstacle or some other thing that makes it a hardship on your field and getting your graduates into work promptly, then we can definitely address that with you. Nothing's going to happen today or immediately, but that is the trend that we're trying to go to. And you and a couple of other allied health professions are working with us to try to identify um, reasons why a temporary license as opposed to some other kind of authorization is still needed, even if only, you know, for an additional short period of time or what have you. But yeah, that's a discussion that the board wants to continue to have, and certainly not in any way to do jeopardy to your ability to get your students working. But we
What
are removing we're doing everything we can on our end, and if there's other places in the process where there's a bottleneck or something, then that's part of the discussion that you all had yesterday.
So I will like to tell you guys, just as a committee, to know there was a huge change in the positive with ASCP. Just this, I think it's just this first cycle. We're in the first cycle. Is in past years when someone did not pass the BOC, they were not able to retake that test until 90 days following. So they just changed that, and now they have 30 days. They don't have 3 months to wait. They have 1 month. So what I think as a committee member is we could decrease the amount of time that they're given to reattempt the test, you know, if they don't pass it. Instead, you know, in the past, we made that decision because they couldn't take it for another 3 months. Now they can take it more frequently. And so that temp license shouldn't be as long, is what I'm saying.
That's important too, because that's one of the factors that we've been looking at in the other professions that this is affecting as well. And that's the same thing. Originally, the length of time was due to the inability to retake quickly, and that, you know, for you guys, it's cut in by 2/3, and even more so in others. So yeah, that's an important consideration.
I have one quick question. Are the analysts that the board has assigned to certain professions? Or are they having to juggle like the MLS license and respiratory therapy and somebody else? Or are they just assigned to a certain profession?
Phyllis, can you be more clear on that?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can.
Oh my goodness, I don't know why.
No, we can hear you.
I think it's a delay. It's just delayed. Okay, so where clinical lab is concerned, it's divided based on the last name, whatever the discipline is. So it's just divided on, you know, based on the applicant's last name. In other disciplines, you know, we have one person that she does respiratory therapy, she does all of them, athletic trainers, all of them. You know, so we got somebody who does physician assistants. That's such a busy desk that's all that she does. We have somebody that does OTs, podiatrists. We have people that do the total of multiple disciplines, and clinical lab does all of the clinical lab disciplines based on, and it's distributed to the two analysts based on the last name.
Okay, I was just curious as to maybe the email or the correspondence that's coming from the BOC was going to the wrong department, and that it was causing a delay that our people never knew about the scores. You know, we're just trying to
we've
tease it out.
We've asked them to send them to both analysts, and somehow they don't. You know, so we're trying to. I think
Now,
they may send it to licensing. I don't know.
yes, on the application, it says to send to licensing. It does not say to send to the analyst. for the
Okay.
scores.
Okay, so some go directly to the analyst and so this is the board of certification, so okay. So they go to licensing, okay.
And
So
then
do you
somebody
think-
forwards them?
Well, I'm going to ask the licensing to forward them to both analysts. Cause we have one analyst that retired. Are you aware of that? So we got a new, okay. So, one retired. And we have a new analyst working, that is learning that and starting to work clinical lab.
Okay, but we can make sure that the mail is directed to both of the two analysts for clinical lab when it involves this particular correspondence.
Yes, I'm going to ask, them to, send it to both. And these other agencies as well that's sending these certifications out to send them, to both. They haven't done what we've asked them to do
Okay,
yet, but we're gonna ask them again.
okay.
All right, any more comments or questions on this topic?
Hey, let me say, you said that in your last year there were 250 licensed in your area. So you're speaking of 250 based on that report, 250 generalists that were 250 generalist specialist technicians. Is that what you're saying? That were licensed? I hadn't seen the report.
Yes, ma'am. It's on, I guess it's on y'all's website. It was something that was emailed out to people that are licensed.
Oh,
Okay.
maybe that annual report, Phyllis.
It is.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
titled
okay.
Annual Report.
It's under
Okay.
resources. If you
Yeah, and
click
this
on the
was just-
resources tab, it'll say LSBME annual report.
Okay. Okay.
And this was just newly issued licenses.
Right, just
Right.
Okay. Because we get a lot of applications in clinical lab
Yes, ma'am.
that don't, people don't finish them, but I don't think it's a lot in that area though. I don't think it's a lot among generalists and specialists in techs where they started and don't complete the application. We end up closing quite a few applications.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Well, thank you. If we're done there, let's see, I guess we're just waiting on the BOC to get back in touch with Jessica and Adeline about their pilot program. And we'll report on that next time. The next topic is nominations for CLP positions. Patsy is not here to lead this discussion. I know there's been several of us that are at the end of our time, if not over. Ms. Wilton, you have anything to add to that?
No, not specifically about that. I wasn't, I haven't been in the loop on new nominations, but I will, make sure to remind Dr. Collada about that and let him and Patsy, do whatever they need to do as far as soliciting recruits or what have you. Potentially, possibly, they might be waiting to see if there are any legislative changes. I doubt it, though. He probably has an update, and I'm just not aware of it.
LSCLS has sent in their nominations already.
Okay.
We don't have any investigations this time. So I don't think there's anything that would lead us to need to be in executive session. Unless y'all know of something. The next item on the agenda is for our next meeting date, and that's already been assigned for August 13th.
And I can update you if you like. I just double checked on the status of both of those bills you discussed. HB 603 is the bill that relates to adjusting how boards and commissions, certain boards and commissions are comprised. That has passed fully through the House, and it is in the Senate awaiting consideration by Senate Health and Welfare. The plasma bill was heard on the Senate side today. It has passed fully through the House favorably. The Senate Committee on Health and Welfare passed it out favorably, and it goes to the Senate floor next. I will tell you that if you are at all interested, those hearings, that committee hearing from today, I was on the House side for the House committee, but those committees are archived, the broadcast of them. If you are interested in looking to see the debate or how the bill fared in committee or what questions might have been asked or who came out to support it or what have you, you can look for those on the broadcast archives and you can watch that part. Just scroll through quickly to the part where they're discussing that bill.
All righty. All right, guys, I don't have anything else on the agenda. Anybody have anything to discuss that we've already hit on? If not, I would accept someone moving to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Do I get a second?
I second it.
Second.
Who was that first? Tabitha? Okay, thank you. All right, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you all.